So a similar scenario that we're going to take a look at was within the CFO dashboard, and is take a look and get a better understanding of, on a global basis, if we take a look across all offices. Part of the CFO's monthly task is to review the bill rates and get an idea of, our bill rates trending up, trending down. This is definitely something that was identified as one of their corporate initiatives, is to manage and try to increase the bill rates over the period of time. And so overall, looking at bill rates, things generally look pretty good, but we just want to make sure that there's no anomalies in certain areas where some people are doing really good at it, some are not. So what I thought we'd do is typically bill rates in our industry seem to follow the line of business a bit more than the region does. So what we wanted to take a look at here is get an idea by line of business where our bill rates are trending. So you can actually see, although it's a positive 2.3% up here, you can actually see there's quite a bit of anomalies within the overall one. CRM is doing fantastic. We're getting great bill rates around CRM, but AX has dropped off quite significantly, and business intelligence has dropped off quite significantly. But since AX is a larger line of business within the organization, we'll take a little bit of look, go by line of business, and filter a little bit more closely on AX itself. So again, if we look into AX, and then we go take a look at, okay, so we've got this 24% drop-off. Well, let's take a look and see, where is that most prevalent? And actually, if you take a look, Vancouver is by far the biggest drop-off in overall bill rates. Toronto's actually doing okay, but Calgary and Edmonton are concerns as well. And so then what you can then do is, if you want to, you can then filter into Vancouver, and maybe we can get a better idea of potentially, which clients is maybe causing the problems here. And so we can dive right into individual customers and get an idea of here. We can see here it's predominantly related to one particular client where our bill rates have dropped off. So I'm not sure if this might require some investigation. This might be a situation where it's fixed fee and it's gone over and they're not billing anymore, or some very senior people have rolled off the project. But at least this gives you a data point to do some further investigation and get a better understanding of what's potentially causing some of the problems in the overall bill rates. And if you take a look at the overall trend for this particular project, not a lot of data, it's only a short project, but you can see it's pretty much dropped off, in half over a 1-month period. So it's something you want to catch immediately. Do we have time for one more scenario? Okay. So one of the things I want to make note here, which I don't know if I really emphasized as much up front, all of these areas are 100% customizable to your organization. So again, the analysis areas are specific to you based on your overall objectives. We're going to come to you with a template that says we think these generically are the ones that are most important for professional services, but there is an ability based on what data is available within your systems or what your particular area of emphasis is. We can definitely switch out what the analysis areas are. In addition, this banding method, the method that we're banding the data below, that is 100% customizable, and it's also quite, it's very dynamic in terms of once you deployed your solution, if you identify an additional analysis area, this is something that can be added very quickly. I mean, it's literally, adding a couple of rows to a table and redeploying something. It's less than a day's effort to modify these dashboards to kind of add in these additional analysis areas. And basically, any data point that is exposed within your data repository can be exposed as one of these banding methods. But what we're going to do next is we're going to kind of dive down a little bit more granular, and we're going to go down to the employee view of a delivery manager. Again, this is something where we've, it's a situation where the delivery manager is responsible for making sure that understanding who are high billing people, who are low billing people are, and making sure that his staff aren't getting burnt out from working too many hours. So what we want to do in this particular situation is we're going to take a look across the Calgary office, across all lines of business. We can stay within AX, I guess. So for this particular consulting manager, they may be responsible for the Calgary AX practice. So we want to take a look at the utilization rates within here. And what we're able to do, again, using some of these additional filters, is sort descending to get an idea of who are my highest billers. So you can see within here that Cuba Gooding Jr. is one of the highest performers on our team, followed closely by Frank Langela and Glenn Close. By clicking on an individual, so you can see here that we've got quite a few people that are over 100% utilized, which is obviously something where you're saying, well, if that's a 1 or 2 week period or several weeks, then that's probably not a problem. If it's something that's occurring ongoing, then we have a high likelihood of burnout and unhappy employees, which we don't want. So what you're able to do within an individual person is to take a look at them and get an idea of how they're doing on one particular period. So this, unfortunately, there's not a lot of data for Cuba, but maybe for Frank we can see a bit better trend. So you can see here, overall, he's probably trending way too high. Consistently, he's over 100%. There's a gap here, so maybe he took some vacation. You can look into why that was such a drop-off, but immediately back up to a very high utilization. Very low non-billable time, which is great, but overall, this person is probably, a candidate for burnout. One of the things that's nice about some of the advanced features within the performance point is it does have what's natural to most Microsoft products, which is a strong integration into some of the Microsoft Office tools. So any of these individual controls, you can immediately, with a click here, export it to PowerPoint or export it to Excel. And so immediately you can take this graph. So if you want to do a bit more of a detailed analysis, or you're more comfortable, playing with larger volumes of data in Excel, you can immediately push that over into Excel. Sure, where went? Okay. My apologies. This typically works fine. I'm not sure why it's not popping up in Excel. Oh, sorry. There it goes. So it returns a lot of initial format. The advantage here is it gives you a lot of information about the overall filters, so it gives you a good idea of who's selected, what your different parameters and filters are. And then you've got the data within Excel if you want to filter it or highlight individual people or go up and down. One of the other nice features as well is you can take these to individual windows, and you're then able to play with them a little bit. So if you want to see this more as a bar graph instead of this type of a graph, or if you want to convert it over to individual data points, again, you can do this quite quickly within the tools, and then that allows you to, then the same export features are available here. So you can still do a bit of a customization of the dashboards yourself in an interactive basis within the tool. So I think I want to wrap up at this point. I think we want to leave a few minutes at the end in case there's any additional questions.
Yeah, and I think, hopefully you got some insight into what some of the leading firms are doing. I talked a little bit about the trends and some of the measures that leading professional services firms are working with in the context of the survey. Dave showed kind of a fast, effective, efficient way to access the information, and having that information, I think, would allow organizations to make those quick, incremental improvements around their business that will yield greater profits. So that sort of concludes the presentation portion. I'll open it up to any questions. Any questions there, Brett? No, none?
Nothing yet.
Okay, yeah, and we're certainly would welcome an opportunity to, if you have an interest in the solution, if there's some other additional questions or thoughts around what we presented, to come to site and chat a little bit about our experience and solution. and then also discuss any specific requirements your organization may have. Okay. I'll give it another few minutes, and then okay. If there's no further questions at this point, I think that concludes our session. As I said, the offer is there. If you'd like us to come to site and chat a little bit more about what we've done, we're happy to do that. You can contact either Dave or myself. Our contact information is on the screen there via email. And we really appreciate your time attending the webinar today, and hopefully you got some value out of some of the material that we presented.
I'll also be sending the deck out to everybody here today, so you guys can have another view if you see fit.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.